Hello everyone, welcome back to Flying Solo with Kat, and you can probably already hear in my voice that I am still kind of feeling under the weather. My throat has been especially very sore, but I wanted to make this video for you all because it's a Sunday video. You can't skip a Sunday video, so I thought it'd be really fun to talk about my Star Wars journey and kind of talk about the movies, which one I saw first, and kind of how I got back into Star Wars and why I'm such a huge fan of it now. So I do apologize if I do seem a bit tired and run down, but I wanted to get a video out by Sunday. So thank you all for even being here and supporting me. And yeah, so let's get right into it. So my Star Wars journey started when I was super young, and I knew Star Wars as a concept. I got cute little stormtrooper plushies, and but it never really it was there, but it wasn't like a hyperfixation or even like a fixation in and of itself. And I remember watching. It was before Force Awakens was going to come out, because Force Awakens was my first introduction to Star Wars in the theaters. And basically, I was shown from the start of Phantom Menace, yeah. We started with Phantom Menace, and then we went all the way to Return of the Jedi. And I only remember from that rewatch, I only remember Attack of the Clones and Empire Strikes Back, which is the funniest thing because those are Attack of the Clones is my favorite, and then Empire, of course, is just iconic. I mean, how can you not remember Empire? So that's what I remember. And then we went to go see Force Awakens. And I remember being like, okay, it's like a Star Wars movie. I remember not understanding how culturally, how much of a cultural impact it had on so many people. I remember the theaters were packed for us. I remember that there were people all within the movie theater lobby, and they were just all standing around. I don't remember anyone cosplaying, but like I said, I wasn't really I was very much just oh, okay, whatever. It's, people here to see a movie. I didn't realize it was such a huge thing that people get together and watch it 4 or 5 times, and especially Force Awakens, it was the new thing. And I remember that movie so much, and I remember it was a light switch on in my brain when I first heard Rey's theme. I was like, whoa. And I still remember that feeling to this day and how special that was for me to see Rey on screen. And I remember that. I remember Kylo Ren. I was just okay, whatever. He's just evil. The funniest thing is I don't remember Hux being in the movie. I don't remember Poe being in the movie. I do remember Finn. Finn was my second favorite character. I completely forgot that Leia and Han were in the movie, that were from the 4, 5, and 6, right? And it was really funny because I was just who are these rando people? But of course, it's my favorite one now, and I definitely remember that. So I was just okay. And it was in my circle. A lot of my friends talked about it, and I was just okay, it's cool and everything. Then Last Jedi came out, and it was still in my circle. At this time, I was very much into Harry Potter, and I was doing another Indiana Jones phase. It was a mix of Harry Potter and Indiana Jones and Jurassic Park, kind of all 3 of them together, but Harry Potter being a bit more. And I remember seeing The Last Jedi, and I remember actually kind of not really caring about it. I didn't hate it, but I also was just okay, that was a movie. I don't remember anything integral about that, just Rey's outfit, which, that should have been Sign. But I only remember Rey's outfit, and then I remember Kylo Ren screaming more And that's all I remember. And I do remember Luke as well. And I really did like Luke in that film because I did not like him in the OT. I do remember that. I was like, I don't like this kid. And then when I saw him in Last Jedi, I was like, oh, I actually really like it. And that's still my opinion to this day. And then I remember seeing Rise of Skywalker, and there were still a lot of people in the theater, and it's going to be a bit controversial, but I liked it. I actually really, really liked it. I did remember actually tearing up at the end with Ben and Rey, even though I wasn't like really like knew what was going on with them and like really dive deeper into their characters. So I can't even imagine what other people were feeling. I remember like not even blinking at Hux being the spy and getting shot by Pride. I was just like, okay, he's gone. Like I don't even remember what I was thinking at that time. And I remember watching Rise of Skywalker and I was feeling like that was really good. And then everyone around me was like, that it was terrible. What the hell? And I was like, oh. And it was a very negative reaction with a lot of people that I was like talking about it with. And that was the end of 2019, right? So I was just like, okay. But so it was a bit in my scope then, and I actually remember sitting down and watching it again on Disney Plus, and which is really funny. And I remember being like, yeah, no, this movie's all right. And then I had a fateful day. I was very much into Marvel. I am very much into Marvel as well. I'm going to do a video on Marvel and my whole thing with that in a later video. But I was huge on Marvel still am. And I was looking on Tumblr of, really cute fan art. And then I come across Kylux. And I'm like, huh, okay. And at this time, I was very new to coming out. And I was very new to the queer community in general and experiencing same-sex relationships that people like just talked about. And of course, this was like kind of started COVID, right? So I saw it and I was like, whoa, like that's hot. Like that's who are these two characters? I love it. And then that's when the light flick, switched on again. And I haven't turned back ever since. But anyway, I looked up this, or not looked up. The first fan art that I saw was by Space Emos on Tumblr. Please look them up. They haven't done Kylux fan art probably since Last Jedi, maybe? I could be wrong about that. And I just went down this rabbit hole. I went through about from 2015 to 2020 the amount of drama and fan art and just amount of fic ideas that were from that time. And that just immediately, I never want to turn back because that actually legitimately changed my life. Just seeing that fan art and then taking it a lot more seriously. I mean, I was just kind of, let into the fandom. And I always feel bad because I wish that I knew I was there from the very beginning because you have veteran people that, are still creating stuff. And I shout out to all of you, especially when our ship is not canon, which I later learned. I was like, oh, Ben is the one that kissed oh. So I was very much like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And usually I really only ship like very, very canon type things. And this was just so different and so new for me to experience just with a homosexual relationship. And I really liked it about Kylo and Hux just because of the dynamic. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about Kylux because this will become a Kylux video. But it changed my life. It changed my life in a way of expressing myself more and being a more part of the queer community. And it also introduced me to just Star Wars in general. And so then I did a binge watch of the movies, and I was like, hey, this is like sick. Like, this is awesome. Like, why did I never, like. So then that started my hyperfixation. And that's what I really like about Star Wars as well, is like, you can love, like, of course, you can love like one thing, one relationship, but Star Wars is such a big universe that they've developed on very, very well, that you can really do so much research about it, and just you feel so connected with the universe. And that's the part that I really liked about it. Yes, I love Kylo, I love Hux. They are my two favorite characters, but I also love Jin. I also love Krennic. I also love Reva. I love Fennec Shang. I love Boba Fett. I love older Luke Skywalker. I like Leia. I like Han. Like, I said like so many times, but you can fall in love with different characters because they each have a story to tell and they feel so real. And I think that's a cool thing that Star Wars does. And yeah, my first collectible that I actually got for Star Wars were my Kylo Ren, General Hux, and Phasma Funko Pops. And then that developed into getting Rey. And then that developed into getting Poe. And that developed into getting Finn and Rose and Ben. And yeah, it just grew from there. And I was like, oh, I really like Fennec Shang. I gotta get one of her. Got that. I really love Boba Fett. Gotta get one of that. And it kind of just developed on. And the funniest thing is I had some old Star Wars stuff even before, like, I was into it, that I had. So then that I added that to my collection. I was able to develop into that. And it kind of just grew from there. I learned stuff, new things every day. I did a lot of research into mainly the sequel trilogy because that was quite what I was interested in. When you're kind of a part of the Star Wars fandom, if someone's going to ask you your favorite trilogy, I mean, that's one of the main questions, right? You get asked as a Star Wars fan, is what's your favorite trilogy? And you kind of have to, I'm not saying you can't like all of them, but you definitely, everyone has their top, the one that they tell people if they had to choose, right? And I picked the sequel trilogy just because of the First Order, because my baby boys, and just overall, I think the movies bring so much to the table that wasn't explored that helped me in writing. And with writing came a lot of new opportunities for me as a person. Then that created into art, and I have posted not all of my art on Twitter. I am very self-conscious of some of my paintings, but I did helmet portraits I have one of a clone trooper, and I have Boba Fett, and then I also did a painting of Grogu, which was my first one actually, and that was, I'm looking at it right now. It looks great. I don't know if I'll ever post it because it was my first, but it gave me the opportunity to be very creative, where I was very much in a kind of box when I was creating for video games as Apex Legends and Overwatch. And those games put me into a box because they were only developing the story so much. You can only think of so many scenarios, right? But with Star Wars, the amount of species, the amount of planets, just the amount of people that have stories about them is just so beautiful. And I'm a huge sucker for sci-fi. I love sci-fi. It's my favorite genre. And I just immediately connected. And I was like, this is something that I can really, really get into. And that's where it is from there. I mean, it's definitely gotten a bit obsessive and unhealthy. But it's something I deeply enjoy. I enjoy the characters. I enjoy the stories that George, JJ, and Ryan were able to create. And I know not everyone feels the same way, right? We all like to dunk on Star Wars, and it's stupid, and it's all about nerds and stuff, but I was able to find such a great community when the world was shut down. And I was able to express myself through these characters that I was not able to do. and it felt like a big family. And when I was struggling with depression, just being able to turn on a Star Wars movie or watch a Star Wars TV show or read about Star Wars characters or do some research for myself, it gave me something to focus on that was also enjoyable. And probably the highlight of this journey has been Star Wars Celebration in 2022 when it was at Anaheim. I have never been to Star Wars Celebration. I'd never had the opportunity, never really known about it. And I just felt so much love from that event. And I did get to cosplay, which was very, very fun. And I got to experience a con that had so many people. That wasn't like BlizzCon and all of that. And I was very privileged to get just to see so many things, and I got a couple of collectibles and stuff, and it was just such a great experience, and I've never experienced something like that before. And I think people aren't giving Star Wars and its community enough credit from just how together we are, even though we are super, super divided as well. And I think that's what makes it fun. But that's more I like to say it's more the online discourse. And as I said in my previous video, the online discourse for Star Wars and the Star Wars fandom online maybe makes up about 20% of people who like Star Wars, right? Or the Star Wars discourse. Let me rephrase that. The Star Wars discourse, people like hating just to hate, is probably like 10% of the fandom online. But a lot of times, I go to Galaxy's Edge, like, very much a lot, and everyone there just looks so happy to be a Star Wars fan. So happy to be able to experience Batuu and just be there in the moment. And not once have I heard someone complain like, oh, well, if, this was George's idea, then blah, 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 right? So it's just such a beautiful community. And I get very much dunked on for saying that. And people will probably dunk on me as well. But it's just, in my darkest times, it has definitely saved me from the characters to the people in the community and just the overall stories that George Lucas created. And it's very, very near and dear to my heart. And I couldn't ask for a better hyperfixation. And, yeah. So, anyway, guys, like I said, this is going to be a very small video because I just kind of want to say, like, my journey through Star Wars. There wasn't really much going on. I kind of just, like, saw some beautiful, beautiful fan art and just went with it, and, got to see some pretty, pretty cool characters. And I'm still learning new things every day, and, learning about new characters every day and writing stories, and I'm continuing to be as creative as I can be in this fandom because it's given me so much and I want to give back to them. So I'm just trying to do all that I can. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. I'm very, very sorry that I sounded very tired and probably spoke a lot softer than y'all are used to, but I really just want to get this video out. So thank you all so much. I love you all, and I will see you in the next one.